All right, so I know that a lot of you have been asking about my skincare routine recently, and yeah, no, I'm just kidding. So it's the off season, silly season. It is.
Skincare.
I should tell them about my skincare.
Tell them to use Clarence double serum. Tell them.
Yeah, we'll get hooked up.
Yeah, Clarence double serum, baby. Okay.
It goes pretty good. It keeps me looking nice and fresh and young.
Moisturized.
Yeah, we don't want no dry skin. Yeah, it's interesting, right? As we roll into every new season, I've been doing this for over 2 decades now, and it doesn't get any easier, to be honest. And so some of the things I want to talk with you guys about today is about what it takes and what we have to do to run this program. And so I know I've seen some other drivers kind of posting up, you know, this is what it costs to go to FD, or this is what it costs to go drifting, and all these kind of crazy numbers. And not that I'm really going to get into all of that as much as it's about how you stay relevant, being able to continue to pivot with the changing economy and the changing demands of partners, you know, how the scope looks, like I said, with events, with content. You know, when I first got into drifting many years ago, there was the internet, of course, but there was no social media. And so it was getting your name out there was basically going to events and just presenting yourself and finishing on the podium. And that's how you were able to kind of climb the ladder. And now you're able to kind of grow your program without even attending a single event, right? And so just like what we're doing here today, I'm just sitting here talking to you and basically providing insight. And that is how a lot of people are able to grow that connection and get a following and a fan base and the support that we need to be able to go and do the things that we want to do. However, on that same note, it's about continuing to understand the climate and being able to adapt and evolve as the times change, right? And so as we slowly started getting into like the social media era, it was more than just like I said, results and being at events. It was about how you connect with your fans outside of just face-to-face at the track, right? We have an open pit policy at Formula Drift, and even at Grid Life, it's even more so than that. We're able to connect with fans on a very high scale because we are not in competition mode. We're able to spend more time with people, right? And so then that evolved into, as I said, the social media space where we're creating content for partners, doing install videos, doing how-tos, and even just face-to-face information like we're doing right now. And it's the exact same reason why you would follow a certain person, just to kind of get to know them a little bit better. And so as we go into 2025, right, once again, the climate's changing. Not talking about just the weather, but it is, it's funny when you hear people say like, oh, it's an election year, right? It's an election year. Things are different. And so I honestly don't exactly know why. Maybe that's ignorant of me, but I feel like everybody starts to kind of hold their cards close to their chest when it becomes an election year because they don't know what's going to happen, as if like everything's going to just turn itself upside down once our president changes. But it is, there have been many different time periods over the 20 years that I've been involved with drifting. And what I mean by that is as in like major shifts, right? And so 2008, that was a big shift. That was our last big recession. That was like the big housing crisis, the burst, the bubble, whatever you want to call it. And that's when things kind of got a little tight in the past. We had to once again kind of pivot and get creative on like how we connect with our partners. And that was the beginnings of social media. So that was interesting on how that worked. And as we kind of parlayed into being able to provide more than just event results, right? And so now, as we're moving into 2025, you can kind of feel it, right? You can hear it in the wind, you can, feel it in the sand, whatever you want to call it, right? It's like there's a little bit of a shift, there's a little bit of a change happening, and everybody's kind of like, starting to hold things tight again. And so what is difficult about that is that, as I don't want to say that, we're exactly influencers and whatnot, but we're basically a marketing team, if you will, and our production value is race cars and the talent is race car drivers, right? And so we basically provide a service and we're able to help promote and expand upon these brands and their reach and getting them into new areas so they can make more sales. And this is a lot of what I've been learning recently about not just promoting a brand, but how to help the ROI. And what ROI is, a return on investment, for those that may not know. And what that means is for the partners that work with us and support us, how do we then turn that into sales? And it's very difficult to show that. And I'm learning that more and more over the years that, the partners don't want to see just, a sticker on the side of the car. They want to see more. And so we've been working with companies like Hook It, which is a numbers-based, data-driven social media manager, if you will. It kind of breaks down your post. It will actually focus on the logos that are on your car and in the images and the reach that it gets. And it basically helps generate a dollar value on what you're doing on social media. So we've done things like that. We've also moved into other forms of being able to promote our partners, such as, we just released the Forsberg edition truck, right? And so today, as this video drops, I'm flying out to Phoenix to film with Nismo Nick out of his dealership in Arizona, and that's going to be model 001. And so this was a package that we're able to put together based off of our Nissan Frontier off-road race program that we put together about 2 years ago. And so we took Nismo off-road components that they were trying to build and develop and release as a part of their new lineup of parts, right? Because the truck market is huge. And so what we did was we took that idea and we applied it to a build once again. So it's like, okay, so how do we help kind of showcase these parts outside of, holding them up and taking a picture of them on top of a table, right? So it's like, let's build a race truck and let's take it out and go to Nora 500, enter the race, which is a stock production class, and run it. And so we did that, we won the class, it was awesome. And with that package that we used to build that truck turned into the Nissan Frontier Forsberg edition, which is super awesome. It's like, still hasn't even sunk in. Maybe it will today when I'm out at the dealership looking at one of the trucks in a showroom with my name on it outside of the one that I get to drive every day. But it's really surreal and insane to see your own name on a vehicle, right? And so that was a lot to do with, like I said, trying to find new ways to close the gap for our partners that we work with and being able to show them that we can provide more than just, like I said, a logo on a car. And so I'm just eternally grateful to be able to have my name on a Nissan vehicle. I've been running with Nissan since 2003 when the Z came back to market, and it's just been one of those, I don't know how to describe it other than I saw the car and I just knew it was for me and I didn't know why. And I sold my Mazda and I bought the Z, and I was making payments on that thing for, many years as it was still a race car. And I was slowly able to develop a relationship with Nissan because I was the only person that was out there racing in the new Z, right? Yes, it was drifting. However, it was still one of the very, very few new Zs being modified at that time. We're having a big sale on shop.forsbergracing.com. So hop on there to grab our last pieces of merch before we line up our 2025 new gear, where you have a few keychains left, some more shirts, and we have a couple of these awesome Nismo hats left in stock. So make sure to head on over shop.forsbergracing.com to grab our last pieces. And so I get asked all the time, how do I get into drifting? How do I get sponsored? I don't know which question I get asked more, but both of them frequently. How do I learn to drift? I mean, that's easy. It's just time and patience. You put the effort in, you get the results. But the how do I get sponsored is difficult. Obviously, I wanted to be able to drift professionally and be able to do it as long as possible. And so with that, you obviously need support. But I wasn't going and asking people, how do I get sponsored before I even owned a car, right? And so you always have to invest in yourself before you can expect others to do so, right? You're your own best cheerleader. And if you don't believe in yourself enough to put your money where your mouth is, then other people are not either, right? And so that's what I try to tell people. And that's what it takes to be successful in this space. And so when someone comes up and they ask, how do I get sponsored? It's literally what I'm dealing with right now, which is how do I pivot to stay relevant in a space that I'd like to think that I'm, decently established in, right? Been drifting for quite some time, but still every year we have to come up with new creative ways to stay relevant, to stay competitive, and to kind of help give back to the people that support us. And so just to go kind of full circle with that, we're in, January of 2025. I'm having, multiple phone calls and meetings with partners. It feels like it gets a little later and later every year, right? In which, there's times where we're planning for 2025 back in August. And this year in particular, it's a lot of that, like, oh, we don't know what our budget is yet. We don't know what our plan is yet. We're getting it together. We're trying to wait for these results or this meeting or whatever. And, we come back from this huge holiday break. And I don't want to make this, it's not a negative conversation, right? And I don't want this to sound like I'm ungrateful by any means. All I'm trying to get at is for the people that are watching this video and the people that are trying to get into this space, I just want you to understand that, even people like myself and my other buddies, I don't want to mention names, but obviously, all the top guys in the sport, every year we have to just continue to figure out how to stay relevant, not just based on results and based on the racetrack, right? And you're only as good as your last race, right? That's a common saying that everybody goes by when it comes to racing, right? It's like you go out and you win last weekend, like that credibility only carries you so far, right? You still have to go out and perform again. And that's what we have to do every year with our partners. And so I love doing it. It's part of the hustle. It's part of the grind. You get a phone call and sometimes it's good news and sometimes it's bad news. And you have to figure out how to keep it going. Just because you get a no from somebody, it doesn't mean that, that's everybody's feeling. And so once again, when it comes back to the, how do I get sponsored? How do I get into drifting? Like why this and why not that? You have to understand that everybody is going through the same type of, how do I put it? The same type of, I don't want to say struggle, but the same type of, they're looking for the same type of motivation to come up with the next best idea, right? You look at guys like Ken Block and how do you better Gym 1? How do you better Gym 2? How do you better Gym 5, right? And so it's the same thing. You have to continue to evolve and grow and give more. And right when you think you've done your best, come out with another great idea. And so, or you have, the next perfect event, whatever it is. So I appreciate the people that are able to do what they love and are able to put these programs together. And also, seeing some of the wild builds online, seeing, some of my friends, starting new companies and new businesses and, or buying new properties or new buildings. It's so awesome to see all of those things kind of come together and, people achieving their goals and their dreams. And there's no reason that, someone like yourself can't do the same. I was just a random kid from Pennsylvania that decided that he wanted to go drift a car sideways. And, it was, as I said, a series of ideas and decisions. And the main thing is believing in yourself. When I moved to California, it was just a pickup truck full of parts and my Z on the back, and I had no house, no idea where I was going or what I was doing, right? But I just wanted to go back and run at Irwindale. I think that, with Irwindale closing, it kind of got me thinking about a lot of this, because Irwindale was the first real track I got to compete on with the D1 driver search back in 2003. And that was that turning point for me. That was when I was like, I want to do this. I don't know what this is even, but I wanted to do it and figure it out. That's the biggest piece of it, is you make the commitment and you do whatever it takes, right? And so with that being said, as we go into, once again, another season, another year, we're just trying to figure it out. We're just trying to see where everybody's head's at, and where we fit in. And it's not as simple as, sticker on the car, go to the racetrack. So for those that want to get involved with the sport, I'm not saying that it's impossible. I'm saying it's very possible. It's one of the easiest barriers of entry into motorsports, right? You can build yourself a car. You can go to your local track. You can ask for help. Most of the local tracks have guys that are going to be better at drifting than you. Ask them for some guidance. They will give it to you. And go to your local events. Figure out how you can be better. Get yourself a sim. People laugh about it and say get a real car, but it helps. It 100% helps. And so there are definitely means to get into it, and it's almost easier to get into the sport now than it ever was, right? And what I mean by that is, you know, when we got into it, we were figuring it out and trying to just, you know, get from A to Z. I'm sorry, I shouldn't even say that. We're just trying to get from A to B. We didn't even know what Z was because it didn't exist at that time. Like there was no Formula Drift when we got into this. But now it's like there is a path that has been paved by many, many other people. And so if you truly want to get into the sport of drifting and run in it professionally or just for fun, anything that you want to do is achievable, and you just have to apply yourself and make it happen. And I know you can do that. And so it's not easy for any of us. We all got to stay relevant, and that's what I've had to do every year for the past 20 plus years to be able to continue doing FD. And it never gets easier. We'll put it that way. So it's like riding a bike. They say it never gets easier. You only get faster. And so that's the way I like to look at it. You know, the goalpost is always moving. You just got to keep chasing after it. And so it's, you know, the people that settle are the ones that get left behind. And I guess you could say, is that a good thing to say? I don't know. But, you know, some people are content, and that's great. But the people that want to grow and achieve more, like they're the ones that are out there pushing for it. So yeah, today I get to see the Nissan Frontier Forsberg Edition 001 hitting the showroom floor, and it's gonna be sick. I can't wait. So that'll be next week's video. We'll be putting that up. I want to make sure that gets out right to you guys because I'm excited about it, and it's something I never ever thought would happen in my life, is having my name on the side of a Nissan vehicle in a dealership. So here we go, man. Dreams do come true. See you guys later.